How's everybody today?
Good.
You happy to be here? I'm happy to be here. I've had a lot of unexpected delays this week, so I'm really happy to be here. With that being said, it's always nice to come and kind of get a break, right? It's that time of the session when everybody is asking questions about the syllabus and we end up a little frustrated, like, you know, it's in there, did you read it? And we get to come together as marketing educators, and we get to visit, we get to share ideas, and we get to talk about challenges. And what are the challenges that we have in marketing? You know, they really progress. You know, back in 2001, in an article by Eastman and Swift, they said, as marketing faculty, we must recognize the changes in the educational marketplace and be prepared to serve our students with online learning. How far have we come as marketing educators? Are we prepared to serve our students with online learning? And how has, since 2001, when they initially put that out there, what changes are we dealing with in the environment that are affecting us in terms of other platforms? So we have this emergence of technology, right, that's just infiltrating marketing in every area, including teaching. And there's hybrid formats, blended, online, and new evolving formats yet to be uncovered, right? With the technology, we're not sure what platform or what distance learning system that we're going to be expected to use next. We have a pressure from our colleges because our universities are seeking profitability. They have shrinking enrollments because of the geographic base expanding with online education. And because of that, the budgets are shrinking too, so they're pushing educators to be able to deliver course formats in new ways. But that's challenging for us teachers because we teach our classes face-to-face, we have our system, and how do we take those same learning outcomes and apply them across other platforms so it's consistent? And the issue isn't just about our universities. The issue just is not about our own teaching comfort style or what our preferences are. The issue also relates to accreditation. And if you look at just a recent peek at AACSB's website, you see that accreditation, for accrediting purposes, it's extremely an important priority to be consistent across formats, to be consistent with the same learning outcomes when you're teaching online, in person, hybrid, or other formats. So this is an issue that we really need to take hold of. And the problem then is when you have a class, how do you take that class that you're teaching face-to-face and transfer it? How do you transfer it so you can teach it online and deliver the same learning outcomes or hybrid or in another format? What type of framework should you use to organize your classes so you can come up with a system that's seamless and scalable? And what about when you have a class that's not maybe a natural candidate for online teaching? A lot of, for example, in the sales literature, a lot of folks feel like, and based on surveys in the literature, that educators believe you can't teach sales online, because it requires those personal skills, and it's not just sales. I mean, if you think about consumer behavior, even marketing management, teaching a marketing plan online can have challenges. There's a lot of areas that maybe might not be just the most natural fit. So what do we do about that? Well, the way that I tried to deal with this is by coming up with a framework to help me be able to transfer across formats. And this framework is called CRAFTS. It's Curricular Reach Across Formats Teaching Subjects. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to actually go over the framework with you. I'm going to give you an example of how the framework applies to a sales class with an example of a learning outcome that the framework addresses, both hybrid and online. And then I'm going to explain the rest of the framework. I do want to point out that all of these materials, because I am presenting an innovation for an entire semester, this isn't just one thing, so there's a lot of information out there. So I would strongly encourage you, if you have an interest in applying this more, to please look at all the resources in the teaching notes, and I hope that they will be a help for you. With that said, let's go over the format. So it starts off with this idea of foundational concepts, correct? Because whatever we teach, whatever marketing subject we teach, we have these foundational concepts that we want to communicate to our students. So we identify those concepts and we express those concepts through learning outcomes in our class. Then those learning outcomes are tied together through active learning activities. Now, why active learning? Well, we all know that in the online environment, based on the literature, that active learning is effective. In marketing classes, active learning is effective. In face-to-face and hybrid classes, active learning is effective. So active learning activities are appropriate to be able to bring these together. And what happens is you come up with these activities, and I'll explain this in a little more detail in a second, and the activities then are distributed across formats. It's the same activities, but depending upon the type of class that you're teaching, whether it be in-person, hybrid, online, or yet to be another class format, what you do is you tweak that format based on, for example, maybe you have a discussion with that activity in person in class, maybe you use an online discussion online. Maybe the way the student turns it in is different, but the actual core activity remains the same, and the measurement of that activity also remains the same. Does that make sense? So we have the format, and then from the format we go straight to evaluation, which is the same for all classes. And the evaluation is on 3 levels. It's the student reflecting on their learning, which reflection according to the literature is important in teaching. There's performance evaluation, which is you as the teacher using rubrics which are scalable across formats, so you can grade each student based on the same consistent standards. And then you have course evaluation, which is the student's understanding of how the course went. And I'll give you examples of these. So let's just apply this framework to a sales class as an example. This is an area where it works. So we know that the foundational concepts in sales is the steps of the selling process. And the reason we know that is, according to the literature, 50% of all sales textbooks talk about the sales process. So it's a good way to start teaching sales. And it's been used over and over again. So we put that in as an example. So we see that the steps of the sales process are connected to the foundational concepts. Everybody good with that? Then we build that up and we go to learning outcomes. Now the learning outcomes are also connected to each of the foundational concepts. So a foundational concept is connected to a learning outcome associated with that class. So for example, when we talk about pre-approach and prospecting, the learning outcome would be identifying and locating a prospect, just as an example. Then, the next part is developing active learning activities. Now these active learning activities are just representative. There's a lot more listed in Table 1. But these activities are all connected, so when we talk about identifying and locating a prospect, they then have an active learning activity where they actually pick a company to work for, and I'll talk about the culmination of this in just a second, and they find prospects to go for the company they sell for that they might possibly sell to, potential prospects. They come up with a list. So they practice the skill as they build through it. It's designed to be a structure of a hierarchy in such a way, so that there's main culminating assessments here, like we have a sales and objection paper, role-playing activities, a final sales PowerPoint, and actually a sales field trip where they go and observe a salesperson. All of these are like the main assessments, but what I want to point out is these are all connected. So when they do these active learning activities, they're culminating into these main assessments. So the whole class, as they work on learning the steps of the sales process, it's this progression where they're building upon the foundation and learning how to sell as they go, but at the same time coming together to put together some major assessments for the class that you as an instructor can then take this information, these main assignments, these activities, you can adapt them to platform by tweaking maybe how they turn it in, the time that you give them to work on it, perhaps tweaking the delivery of exchange. Are they going to do a role play with it, for example, in a sales class? Are they going to turn it in a Dropbox? Are they going to have a discussion? Are you going to just talk about it in class? If it's a hybrid class, are they going to do it in class, out of class? You tweak. You use your judgment as a teacher to tweak those main activities. And then you evaluate them. And then the evaluation comes with student reflection, performance, and course. So now what I'd like to do is show you an actual example of how this works with a learning outcome on closing the sale. So for format a class, we're going to look at a hybrid class and an online class. So here is the online class. Now their presentation, now how do you demonstrate that you're going to close the sale when you're online? So the way that they do it in this class is they actually put together a PowerPoint presentation. I might need some I'm not a Mac user. I realize this is a weakness. I will have to, there should be open in another window.
It's a commercial right here.
Maybe it's not a weakness. It's not that one, it's the one, it's another one. That's the second one. Put there? Okay, awesome. Okay, so this is my student's presentation. Is there somebody that can lower the lights? It might be easier to see if you can.
During our recent phone conversation, you revealed many needs for your company. All these needs were based on your current hardwood flooring product and service, which has put you in the market for new. The biggest concern you had was finding a lower priced product that your customers would absolutely love. You were also looking for lower costs for monthly shipping service incorporated with better overall shipping because you are very dissatisfied with your product being late all the time. Your contractors need to be able to install the product in a timely manner, allowing them to meet deadlines better, and all around be happier with their work. You stated that your company needs lower estimate times and prices to make your customers happy. Also allowing you to
Okay,
look
so
for jobs in a shorter amount.
she's restating the needs that she's uncovered as part of what you should do before you close. Then she goes on.
Thank you. I'm so glad I clearly understand your company's needs. It's great for me to be able to inform you that I will be able to meet all your needs with our current product at $279 per square foot for the product and $150 a month for shipping costs. This may seem a lot, but compared to what you're paying right now, it cuts your monthly costs more than in half. If you would like to sign today, we have some special offers for you. We will include 2 months of shipping service free of charge to you, which is a great deal in itself, as well as throwing in a $500 gift card.
So she creates urgency to
To
close,
offer you 25.
and then she asks for the sale.
Would you be interested in signing on today?
So they view this PowerPoint online it's posted in a discussion board, in a discussion strictly with a group of her and her partner, which is made up of 2 students. You know, one student is a salesperson and one student acts as the buyer, and they role play it out. And then, all right, you guys might convert me to a Mac user. I'm getting this. I'm scared to say it. We got one more clip to get through, but. So then they go into discussion and they finish the role play. So then the person she's role playing with gives her an objection based upon the presentation the person just saw. The salesperson replies and handles that objection. I just took this from discussion, by the way, just to make it easier to read. And then they reply. So they role play back and forth, doing a dyadic role play. And they learn how to handle objections and sell, and they demonstrate to me that. Now let's look at this in a hybrid class. The same learning outcome, closing the sale. They take that same presentation and they create a presentation just similar to what you saw. In interest of time, I'm not going to show you that presentation. I think you can kind of get that point. 2 minutes. So then what they do is they go in, all right, if I can just click on, where do I need to go, Matt? I want to go to I need to go to the YouTube clip. So as he's pulling this up, if you could just hit play for me, you'll see they're in a role play here, and they basically are just doing the same thing role playing. In interest of time, it's all right. I think in interest of time, let me just go ahead and go back to the there you go. Let's get 2 seconds of it.
On these chocolate bars, the 1,500 bars. If they run out of bids in 2 months, how long will it take for me to get?
Can I go back to the presentation? Awesome. Okay, so just to wrap things up.
It'll be about 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Okay. So I'm gonna have to maybe.
Okay. So then you evaluate it across formats. There's a student reflection component. Here's an example of a rubric. All this stuff's in the teaching materials that the teacher can use across formats. The student's course evaluation. From an impact standpoint, we evaluated this by analyzing those reflection comments with 3 independent qualitative researchers who came up with themes that showed consistency across learning outcomes, that according to the students' perceptions and based on the learning outcomes, it revealed by these main topics that they were learning how to sell. And it's my great hope that we've used this since, because I started this process by It was called Crafts, Curricular Reach Across Format Teaching Sales. And I very much appreciate this opportunity because it's allowed me to take my research and make it more broad towards marketing. And since then, now we have Curricular Reach Across Formats Teaching Subjects, which has allowed me and my colleagues to apply this to other topics such as consumer behavior, marketing research, and marketing management. So we're finding that it does work in other areas, and I hope it will help you best craft your course as well.